Brian, I'm here. You almost made me hyperventilate, brother. But you came up for air. Good job.
Wow, it was intense. It was exciting. George, I pass the torch to you. Tell us all things NEC.
Thank you, sir. Let me make sure I can share here and let me know when I'm visible.
I will. You are visible.
All right. Well, Brian, thank you very much. And everybody across the Great White North, all my friends up there, it's a pleasure to be back with you again. I changed up the deck a little bit, so it's not the same old deck that I've been presenting the last couple times that I've done this event. So I hope you're going to enjoy a little bit of the change up. We're still going to keep within the theme of hybrid work environment and the transition that everyone is taking, back into the workplace, or the pathways that all the corporations that we work for and all of our customers that work for are taking the opportunities to get back into the office. So to change it up a little bit, the first thing I want to do is give just everybody a review of the rundown of our flat panel displays, because flat panel displays in the workplace, they've been repurposed, they've been put on carts. Businesses are now realizing that they need to take a reevaluation of where these things are currently placed and augment them in other ways. And just real quick to give you a Cliff Notes version of what we do from a flat panel perspective, we put this slide together to make it easily digestible. So from your left-hand side, moving on over to the right, this is more of a price positioning and feature positioning. And we'll first start off with the basic display that we have in the series. And this is, again, for our large format displays. Just as a quick blip, we also have a variety of small format displays for desktops and other small signage uses. But the first one is the E-Series. As you can see, E-Series is a 350 nit device, not meant for 24/7, 16/7 operating runtime. Comes in various different sizes from 32, 43, 50, 55, and 65. So for any budget-minded opportunities that are out there, cost-conscious customers, we know everybody is, the E-Series, as long as there isn't any over ambient lighting considerations to worry about, 350 nit E-Series is definitely a good choice to go with. The Message Series that we've just come out with not too long ago tends to be our primary seller these days, and as everybody can be aware of, supply chain issues continue to be a problem with all of us. And what I'm going to do is give you a little glimpse into how, if you have opportunities that you want to execute immediately here in the next slide, we can talk about that in a second. But moving down the line here, we've got the ME, the M, and the MA, and then they increase in nit count. As you can see, you go from the ME with 400 nit all the way up to the M and the MA with 500 nit. The ME is the only display within the Message Series that is not 24/7 operation. They are landscape and portrait. The MA is on par with wide color gambit, so we have a feature and a technology in there where you can actually, have a wide color array be broadcast on that device, as well as the P series, which I'm going to talk about next. The other thing about these displays is that we have the capability for internal media players. The Raspberry Pi 4, we have slots for the Raspberry Pi 4 and also for the new Intel SDM Smart Display Module, which has been replacing our OPS, Open Pluggable Specification models. They do come in various the typical sizes that you would see in the medium size format, anywhere from 43 up to 65. The MA does not have a 65; it only has a 55-inch version. So the Message Series is where we've been landing, a lot of single opportunity for screens, digital signage deals, which then moves us into the Professional Series, the P Series, which boasts 700 nits capacity. So it will definitely outwit and outshine any of those ambient lighting conditions that you currently are up against. Also 24/7, and then we have 43, 49, and 55-inch in those models. Moving quickly into the large size, you can see that in the large size C series and V series, we have 75, 86, 98 respectively, and we also have 350 nits for the two C series models, and then the V series boasts 500 nits. We do have Raspberry Pi capability built in with that, and also OPS, which we currently have still a wide variety of OPS in stock if you still are currently speccing OPS computers. Now, the video wall, the UN series video wall technology, that's been our claim to fame for many years. I tend to spec that all the time, and from my seat as solution architect, still is running strong for us. You can witness a very vibrant video wall. You can actually daisy chain these displays up to a 10x10. So if you have an array of such magnificence where you want to have a single display or a single piece of content playing on all those screens, you can do that. You can also control any one of our display technology, large screen displays or projectors with our free download software called Naviset Administrator 2. So if any of your customers are out there and they don't want to walk around with the remote control and they want the comfort of all the controls at the comfort of their desktop or their laptop, Naviset Administrator 2 is a free download. We also have a server version coming out probably within the next year because it's currently in beta test right now. So the UN series, again, is for video applications, very thin bezel, 46, 55 inch for that. And then I had to mention, because we do have some stock within this, but if you have any high nit requirement, we have the High Bright solution in 55 and 75, boasts 2,000 nits capability, definitely for the outdoor applications and anywhere where there's a High Bright scenario. So that's what we got for the rundown. If anybody needs that slide, feel free to reach out to your TD SYNNEX rep, and I'm more than happy to share this with you. So back real quickly to the message series, I wanted to single out one of the units that we have in stock. So if there's anybody out there that are currently running with projects that need a 50, 55 inch or 65 inch display, the ME series is in stock. We have quite a bit of them, and you know, the other ones we're waiting for the ship come in, just like you know, everybody else out there. But the message series is great. Intel capability, again, with the smart display module, the Raspberry Pi 4 capability too. You can run our media player, which I don't know if you can see it to my left. I have a screenshot of that, where you can actually load an instance of any of the partners that we have on there that are specifically ported to Raspberry Pi, like Screenly and a couple of those other type of companies. You can actually run that instance, buy their license, and have it seamlessly installed on your ME series, ready to go. Also the Intel SDM, which we're currently stocking. We have a couple different models in that, you know, to run any of your Windows 10 or Windows-centric signage. So feel free to consider the ME for any of those deployments. A little bit of speeds and feeds on this. It is cost conscious. It is, you know, very reliable. High 4K display, 400 nits, 18:7 runtime. So a majority of the digital signage applications that are out there, this is definitely you know, a candidate for consideration. Low haze, landscape, or portrait. You know, the thing about this is that you have to do a counterclockwise rotation if you're going to do portrait. As you know, we have been told over the years, you know, we have an industrious commercial display, full metal chassis within this, quality components. It is heavy, and it means a lot. But it's just one thing that, like my mother would always say, you know, if you don't buy something and it's heavy, it's not quality. So this is definitely a quality product, as you would expect. Full button controls, which can be locked out, so you can't have you know, any mischief happen, you know, and change any inputs or any settings on that. The bezel is even all the way around the perimeter. You know, you've seen some displays where they are, you know, short on one side or the other. Well, it's a nice even bezel around the entire perimeter, so it makes a nice presentation. You can see the minor rounded corners on it for the aesthetics. We have the USB media player option, which we have in a lot of our devices. So if there's applications for simple USB media, whether it be a video or a changing picture array, we can do that right out of the gate with that. Simple connectivity, any outboard media players that you want to use, like a BrightSign or any one of those other you know, devices that require an HDMI input, we can accommodate that with our 2 HDMIs or DisplayPort. We have one of those. We have the audio, the LAN, the RS-232, all that you would expect. We also have a special feature within a lot of these displays called Input Detect. So you can detect your input and play on a primary input, and if that primary input for some reason loses connectivity, it will default to a secondary input. So it's a nice default type of mechanism that you can use within this. We also have local dimming capability with a sensor built into the model, and scheduling capability to schedule to your heart's content, and then USB settings copy to setting over. So enough with the speeds and feeds. I usually don't drill into models this much on calls like this, but because we do have the availability and a lot of folks out there have the need to get into something immediately, I wanted to give you a little more information on that. Now, getting back into the hybrid work environment and getting back to work, you know, a lot of our displays can be fitted with a custom touch overlay. We have one primary overlay partner. We have some other partners within the overlay space. And if you need to take any of those displays and utilize the 2 HDMI inputs or the DisplayPort input, you get one of these fantastic overlay, touch overlays. You run the USB connection into the display, and then voila, you're up and running with your touch overlay. That's of course considering that you have an internal player. Also, you can use external players as well, run that USB to the external player as well. So if you do have the need for custom touch overlay, please feel free to reach out to your rep, and then they can engage our solution team to give you the understanding of what we have available. Now, I've talked about this before. One of the things that has been a primary seller in our arsenal for Get Back to Work and work from home and collaboration and interactivity has been our CB series. The CB series is a 4K display, comes in 3 different sizes, 65, 75, and 86 inch. And what it does is has IR touch surrounding the perimeter, but I call it a very flexible and malleable device that can work with any vertical. So inherently, it runs from an internal media player running Android 8.0. It boots to a screen that has time, date, some icons on it. Also has some courtesy applications built in, such as a custom whiteboard, which I'll talk a little bit about. The screenshot you're seeing there is for a minor connectivity software where the remote user can show their desktop or any kind of information from their iOS, Android, or Google Chrome web browser. It also works locally on a local area network using AirPlay. And then ultimately, where you have environments where the user needs to bring their own device, one highly relevant example of that would be education, where a lot of these teachers and educators, they're walking around from room to room with their laptop, with their specific lesson plan software loaded on it. Makes it very easy for them to plug that HDMI and USB connection into that laptop and begin seamlessly working like they would if they were working like they would be working on their laptop. Another bit of convenience with this, like some of our models, that I showed you before, we do have an OPS slot on this, so you can put a Windows 10 OPS computer in it, or whatever flavor of OS that you decide to run. Very easy in the back, nice seamless design, very short depth to the unit, so that in case you don't want to hang a computer off the back of it, that capability is there as well. Because it runs Android 8.0, if any of those Android professionals out there still download their applications with APK download sites, we can sideload applications into this device with an APK download. So you can go to your favorite APK download site, load in custom applications such as your PDF reader, additional web browsers, some of the Microsoft Reader suites, that's available as well. And then as a courtesy, you can change the background, as you can imagine. So if any of your customers out there, if you want to impress them and show their specific brand or logo, again, I mentioned schools and universities, they really like that. That is easily done as well. From a hardware standpoint, it's got a lot of hardware capability. I already mentioned a few things about it, but also from a sound capability, we have 2 12-watt speakers built into the unit. There's digital and analog audio output, to interface with any of your outbound audio that you would have in a room. We have passive pens with this unit. Not that there's anything wrong with active pens, because we have another unit that has active pens in it, but this is another convenience standpoint that I've been mentioning for a long time, where the user, they don't have to worry about battery or connectivity, or even if they misplace the pen, you can still use any blunt tip instrument or even your finger. The unit boasts 5 points touch natively within the Android 8.0 interface, but you can support we support up to 20 points touch with any external device, and of course, depending upon the application that you have on that device. We have 350 nits brightness on this unit. As another courtesy with it, it comes with a wall mount. And I know a lot of us, and I've been recommending for the longest time, that we need to consider carts because of the conditions that we're in, and any pending conditions that are coming down the way with repurposing rooms and just being proactive and not reactive to any of these conditions that we're under. But we do have that wall mount for any of those applications that have that purpose involved. Also, we have 5 USB ports on this device. There are 2 in the front, 3 on the back. We have 3 HDMI inputs, and then USB can, obviously, as I mentioned before, you can take your USB and you can attach that to your computer, so you can do file transfer and, of course, the touch interactivity. There's 2 USBs dedicated to one, there's 2 HDMI connections dedicated to one USB, and then in another section, there is an HDMI and a VGA that can share a USB as well. So we do support VGA for any of those legacy devices out there that folks may have. And then it comes preloaded with some really novelty software. It has a timer, a stopwatch. It has an interactive quiz type of application called AirClass. They're perpetual licenses. These are not beta licenses. And then we also have Mosaic Canvas and Mosaic Connect that I mentioned. So the Mosaic Canvas software, I love this whiteboard software. There's a lot of whiteboards out there. I like some of the features of our whiteboard because you can have more than one whiteboard open in the same session. So if there's an educator or somebody that's teaching information, they can have a logical progression of information being presented, and that just removes the hassle of having to open and close applications or whiteboards every time you want to do anything. We have Pixel Eraser. You can bring in pictures. You can actually break the implements out of the control palette. So if you have individual at one side of the board and the other side of the board, you can take that and you can take like the pen tool and you can break it out of the control palette and give it to person on the right. You can take the eraser tool and give it to the person on the left. That way folks aren't crossing in front of the screen and creating confusion during their presentations. You can also output the design as a PDF. So not only a single board, but all of the collection of boards that you put into the whiteboard, you can output that as PDF files. You can do annotation, freehand draw, and this is just a list of one of the many types of features that we have in it. And again, it's a free courtesy software that comes with the product, and there are no ongoing fees associated with it. Lastly, with the CB series, we have Mosaic Connect, and I've kind of made the joke every time I've done these type of talks that if you haven't standardized on a connection software by now, shame on you. Most folks have, and then they also have a couple in tow just for contingency. But we have this here for any folks out there that need something quick and easy, or if for the minority of individuals out there that haven't standardized on a software, this software is available. So what it will do is it'll connect up to 4 users to allow them to present individually their iOS, Android, or Google Chrome web browser to show their information. And then once that information is shown on the local end, then the educator in front of the live audience, if it exists, they can annotate with the special annotation tool that we have built into the product, and then create that synergy as needed for folks that can't make it into the office, or again, can't make it into the classroom. Excuse me. It also has a repository upload area for file types. So if I'm presenting remotely and I need to upload my my PowerPoint or whatever file to the group, it'll allow me to upload that to an area that the others then can download on their own. And then once that session expires, then that media removes itself automatically. So it's not a perpetual storage area for file types. It's just a courtesy area for the just in time of sharing the file. From a security standpoint, it has a rolling security code, so you don't have to worry about intrusion of having a standardized security code. Every time you boot to a new session, it has a new security code, and then, as I mentioned before, it clears the files once everything's done. Now, we also have another product that I didn't put here called the WD551 Windows collaboration device. It is Teams certified with a Windows camera and with Teams camera and also microphones. And so we have that available as well. All right, folks, I ramble and I tend to lose track of time. I'm getting a 2-minute warning here, so I'm going to blitz through this. We also have the human interface accessory. So for some of our other models, if you wanted to do human sensing, so you can turn the device on from video mute, you can also change inputs. We have that available as well. And then getting into some of the vertical applications that we have, of course, I'm preaching to the choir here, home office setups, huddle room setups, healthcare, you have visitor reception areas, mobile signage. And again, I'm a big proponent of carts, and then of course, education carts are still, being used. And then for, any type of virtual learning, you can mount these things on the wall. And you can also have home facilitators using these devices as well. So I've accelerated this to the end here, and just as a bit of a recap, number one, with getting back to work, getting back to the hybrid environment, of course, have a plan. We need to have a plan for that. Most of our customers have had a plan for the longest time. They augment that plan and continue to augment that plan, just like we do at Sharp NEC Display Corporation. A couple bits of practical advice: prepare for the unknown. Again, I've been a big proponent of keeping displays on carts because you never know how you're going to repurpose rooms. One that always gets left out of discussion is backup power. A lot of wonderful partners work with TD SYNNEX that have backup power supplies that, you know, I know that you're talking with or that you need to talk with. Backup power supplies definitely add to an edge when you're doing service and consulting for your customers. Have hardware spares. If you're buying a video wall, have an extra monitor. If you're doing an LED video wall, have an extra panel or two. And of course, with software, have redundancy, have contingency. As I jokingly mentioned, you know, have more than one, you know, Teams type of software in tow. If you're using Teams, have Google Meet, and so on and so forth. Lastly, folks, I really appreciate your time and attention today. I'm George Borden, Solution Architect with Sharp NEC. And in addition to the flat panel displays, the collaboration displays, we're also experts on projections. So we just about have every projector you could ever imagine, even including desktop displays, as I mentioned. And if you have any needs for a consult or custom demos, feel free to reach out to your rep and they can dial me in directly. And I'll be more than happy to help you with your endeavors. So thank you very much, everybody. Brian, back to you.
Wow, like rapid fire. I loved it, George. I loved it. Now, we've unfortunately burned through all of the time. There were some questions, but hopefully we're going to get those questions to you and we'll get those answered via email.